Hello, my name is Carly. I am from Vancouver, Canada. I have lived there for about 10 years. Vancouver is a very diverse city, and I had quite a few friends from different countries. I desired to find out more about where they were from and see them. I knew becoming an ESL instructor would enable me to accomplish this goal. In university, I took General Studies my first year and happened to take an English 100A class, which covered many topics such as Shakespeare to basic grammar. I realized even though I had been studying English my whole life, there was still an extensive amount of information I did not know. I took different classes including literary theory and criticism, English Renaissance drama, and English literature from 1660 to 1900. These classes taught me about famous arguments on modern day literature, older forms of English, and notable works of English in the last few centuries. These classes only covered a small amount of material about English during my time at university. I've taught abroad in the past. I am interested in learning about other languages as well as providing other people with the chance to learn English. More opportunities are created around the world when people are able to learn the language. Businesses can appeal to more people, adults are exposed to other cultures, and people are able to interact more with one another. Having people only speak one language will not create any more economic growth. I believe that the teacher is responsible for proper classroom management. If students refuse to follow the rules, I believe it is necessary to provide them with a warning. If the negative behavior persists, I would then send them to the principal. If it continues, eventually I would advise the school to let the student go. I have observed students taking advantage of teachers in the past. Cracking down on inappropriate actions will deter other students from acting the same. If a school lets the students continue in their negative behavior, it will only become worse. I also believe that the seriousness of the action and the action itself needs to be taken into consideration, especially for older students. Common issues I have observed in classrooms are repeatedly coming late, cell phone use during class, and cheating. Repeatedly coming late is rather serious, and perhaps an appropriate solution would not be allowing the student into class. Not allowing them into class will force them to miss it. Perhaps this punishment will motivate students to come. Cell phone use is probably just as serious. Taking away cell phones will ensure that students will not be distracted from their learning. Cheating is probably the worst offense. Giving students a 0 will most likely make students conscious of the fact that they might fail the class. Younger students, I believe, should be dealt with very differently. They can be very loud. I believe it is necessary at the beginning of each class to provide them with an activity that enables them to burn off their energy yet is still conducive to their learning. Once they have settled down, I would use as many interactive activities as possible for teaching English. The more a student is engaged, the more likely they will learn. Younger students also have rather short attention spans. When designing classes, they keep this fact in mind. Having many short attention-grabbing activities will increase the likelihood that students will remember the information instead of long, drawn-out ones. Also, it is important to reduce teacher talking time. The longer a teacher talks, the less likely students will pay attention. Instead, explaining simple concepts one step at a time and then introducing a controlled practice for each will also increase the likelihood that students will remember it. I believe it is possible to manage a class of 20 to 25 students. However, the age group and the seriousness of the students must be taken into consideration. Having 25 small children in one class would probably not provide them with the best opportunity to learn. They tend to distract one another, and it becomes extremely difficult for the teacher to make them focus again. A class of 20 to 25 older students is much more manageable, as they know how to properly behave. I would take into consideration the age of a student, if they were spoiling a lesson. If it were a younger student, I would talk to them by themselves and stop the lesson momentarily. If the behavior continued, I would have an administrator take the student out of the class. One student should not ruin an entire lesson for everyone. If it was an older student, I would probably take less time to call them out. If the behavior continued, I would then send them to the principal. I have various methods for controlling a classroom. If the majority of a group of older students is talking, I will first talk to them. If the behavior continues, I will then have the principal come talk to them. If it still continues, I will be quiet until they stop. Talking over students will not help anyone to learn. The background noise might make it even more difficult for people to learn. If one of the students is acting out repeatedly, I would just send them to an administrator and write them up. With younger students, I might have them sit in a corner if they are being repeatedly disruptive. If the parent of the child who is misbehaving is there, I would ask the parent to speak with them. Parents are often more effective at calming their children down than teachers. If the student continues, I would pull them out of the class and have them sit with an administrator. Thank you.